Welcome to Chapter 1 of our series, SQL for Beginners. In this episode titled, Why SQL Matters, the Language of Data, we're going to explore the crucial role SQL plays in managing and interacting with data systems. Whether you're just starting out or looking to enhance your skills, we'll uncover why SQL is essential for anyone working with databases. Let's dive in. Right now, most of the world's data can be asked questions in the same language. In one office, a marketer updates a dashboard. Down the hall, a product manager checks a feature report. Different roles, different tools. But they're all quietly speaking SQL. 9 of the 10 most popular databases on the planet speak the same language, whether they're powering a tiny side project or a global bank. That's not an accident. That's what happens when a technology quietly becomes infrastructure. In practice, this means the report your manager checks in Looker, the growth dashboard in a startup's Notion doc, and the top shows list inside a streaming app may all be driven by the same kind of query, just wrapped in different interfaces. A data analyst at a retailer can explore customer behavior in a warehouse today, then join a fintech tomorrow and still be productive on day one because the core patterns carry over. Your challenge this week? Notice every time you filter, sort, or summarize data, email, sheets, dashboards, and ask yourself, if this lived in a database, what question would I be asking in SQL instead? Behind almost every smart feature you use, searching messages, tracking workouts, checking bank transactions, something is quietly translating clicks into structured questions over data. As systems scale, that structure matters more than raw storage. Petabytes are useless if you can't reliably ask, combine, and trust the answers. Modern tools hide the technical plumbing, but they all converge on the same backbone, so different teams, tools, and even companies can reason about data consistently, like musicians reading the same sheet music even on different instruments. Think about where SQL shows up, even when you never see a query window. Business tools first. When someone at Airbnb tweaks a dashboard filter, the system might fire off dozens of SQL statements under the hood, combining booking tables, calendar availability, and pricing history. Their old engineering blog mentioned thousands of queries per day. At large tech companies today, internal tools routinely push that into the tens or hundreds of thousands. These aren't special commands written by a tiny priesthood of engineers. They're often generated from visual drag-and-drop interfaces used by people in marketing, operations, or finance. On the other end of the spectrum, data warehouses like Snowflake and BigQuery handle volume at a mind-bending scale. Snowflake's filings mentioned hundreds of millions of queries per day. Each one might scan billions of rows, but the person launching it could be a single analyst checking last week's churn, or a product manager testing whether a new onboarding flow helped users stick around. The muscle behind those numbers isn't a secret API. It's familiar select and join patterns automatically distributed across clusters. And this isn't just traditional SQL databases. Most so-called NoSQL systems now expose SQL-like layers. MongoDB has an aggregation and SQL connector. Systems inspired by Cassandra often sit behind tools that translate SQL into their own dialect. Big data stacks that used to require custom code, Hadoop, Spark, now commonly encourage SQL as the front door, because it lowers the barrier for anyone who already knows the basics. The key shift is that SQL has become a coordination layer between roles. An engineer might design tables, a machine learning specialist might pull training data, a customer success lead might slice support tickets by segment. They don't need to share tools or programming languages, but they can share questions, copy snippets, and iterate on the same text-based logic. Your challenge this week: pick one recurring report or spreadsheet you rely on. Re-express it as a plain English question or two, then try to sketch what the tables and columns behind that question might be called. You're not writing code yet. You're training your brain to think in the shapes SQL actually works with. Think of a hospital on a busy Monday morning. In one room, a doctor checks which patients need blood tests. Down the hall, a nurse wants today's medication schedule. Finance cares about which treatments are billable. Same patients, same records, completely different questions. SQL's power shows up when those questions overlap. Show me all patients over 60 admitted in the last 3 days who are scheduled for surgery but don't yet have lab results. That's not one list, it's several lists stitched together in a repeatable way. In a storm tracking center, meteorologists might pull wind data from one feed, ocean temperatures from another, and historical hurricane paths from a third. When they line them up, patterns emerge that none of the feeds could show alone: where the next storm might form, which coastlines are most at risk this week, and which alerts to send first. That kind of joined view is where raw information turns into decisions people can actually act on. AI will soon draft many queries for you, but it can't tell if a subtle filter is missing or a join quietly duplicates revenue. Knowing the language lets you spot when an answer is technically correct, yet practically useless. As lakehouse platforms expose everything through one interface, people who can sanity check results will shape which numbers become truth in meetings, and which get discarded before they steer strategy off course. As you keep peeling back how tools work, you'll notice SQL quietly shaping which questions feel askable. It's less a gadget to master and more a habit of thinking, comparing, filtering, combining. Like learning basic cooking, you don't need every technique to make something useful. You just need enough skill to stop relying on takeout for every answer. Start with this tiny habit. When you open your laptop each day, type one simple SQL query using select and from in a dummy database, like select star from customers. Don't worry about understanding everything, just run it and notice what comes back. Tomorrow, add one tiny tweak, like a where filter, where country equals US, to see how the result changes. Keep it playful and treat it like a daily data doodle rather than a serious study session. This was Owl Up, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow!